Welcome to another edition of News 360. We're live from our studios here at number 39, John Hammond Street in Accra. Good evening to you. I am Noble Crosby Annan.
And thank you to you all joining us via the power of technology on our social media and YouTube pages. I am Bernice Abubeidu-Lansa. Let's take a look at our headlines.
News 360 Headlines is brought to you by
EcoBank,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal.
This evening, vigilante groups shifting their recruitment and mobilization online, prompting security concerns ahead of the 2028 general elections.
Also tonight, Parliament urged to consider reforming the way Supreme Court nominees are vetted.
Experts demand inclusive local governance reforms as they challenge proposals on MMDC elections in government's white paper.
And in business news, finance and tax analyst urges Ghana to end raw commodity exports, add value to boost foreign earnings and create jobs.
Much later in international news, Iran condemns new U.S. sanctions as state terrorism, urging countries to reject measures imposed by Washington. Welcome to the program. We're live also on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. Thank you for joining us there. We can get interactive there as well. We're live on DSTV channel 279. Let's get into the details of the stories.
Right away, and the vetting of 3 nominees to Ghana's Supreme Court has sparked concerns from civil society over the pace and the thoroughness of the process. While Parliament has approved their nomination after what the minority describes as a rushed vetting, questions remain on whether the process was thorough enough.
Asking Supreme Court justices just 3 questions, for me, was completely insufficient.
Justice Sofia Benasco Issa, Justice Edward Amaku Asante, and Anthony Forson Jr. appeared before Parliament's Appointment Committee on Thursday, August 27, as the House moved to fill vacancies on the Apex Court. But the minority objected to the process, describing the timeline as rushed and calling for more time to conduct due diligence.
The majority now wants all 5 nominees vetted, reported on, and approved before the House rises. We say no, and we say it with the Constitution and our own standing orders in our hands. We say no because the people of Ghana must participate in the process.
Beyond the political disagreement, civil society organizations are also questioning the duration of the exercise.
The country did not get the benefit, first of all, of the minority to probe and to scrutinize these nominees. And secondly, that the country did not get the benefit of having enough notice for citizens to, if they did have any petitions or any information that they wanted to share with the committee on the character of these nominees.
The appointment require a higher level of scrutiny because of the court's role in interpreting the Constitution and protecting the rule of law.
I'm beginning to worry how our political elite is managing our political processes, as if these are issues that are lighthearted. I mean, like Supreme Court judges occupy the echelon of the judiciary, and therefore in appointing them, they have to go through the process as stipulated by the Constitution. The way the politicians are managing the process leaves a lot to be desired.
And while Parliament has proceeded with the vetting and subsequently approve the nominees, civil society organizations say the credibility of judicial appointment goes beyond the final decision.
I think the current practice, especially if it's becoming so partisan, but I think if we are not careful, we are diluting the process to extent where the whole status of the judiciary, especially Supreme Court justices, might fall below par. I think we should give them a special respect, a special regard, and treat them as such.
The Executive Director of the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs, Dr. Rashid Rahman, believes Parliament must now consider reforms to ensure that future vetting of Supreme Court nominees follows a more comprehensive process.
Most people who come ministerial nominees are members of Parliament, the majority of them. And these are people who have already gone through some processes. They are in Parliament, they are known. The Supreme Court nominees, these are the first time some of us are hearing the names of some of these people. And so separating, I think these confirmation hearings would do us a lot of good, and it would avoid this kind of drama.
For civil society, the question is not only who sits on Ghana's highest court, but how they get there. They say a credible and transparent appointment process is essential to preserving public confidence in the independence of the judiciary. Enyunam Haliga, TV3 News, Accra.
Away from the Supreme Court and vetting concerns, vigilante groups may no longer need to gather physically to mobilize, as they are increasingly moving the activities online using social media and encrypted messaging platforms. With the 2028 elections a little over 2 years away, National Security says it has already detected signs of recruitment and mobilization. So, how are these groups using platforms such as WhatsApp to organize? And what does this mean for Ghana's security? Grace Amwajuman has more in this report.
Political vigilantism in Ghana has been associated with men gathering physically at party offices, political rallies and community spaces. But the mobilization model may be changing. The smartphone has become a new meeting point, and with just a few taps, a message can reach dozens or potentially hundreds of people within seconds. Locations for meetings, voice notes containing instructions, and pictures and videos are easily circulated.
A vigilante group is a vigilante group. We are very much aware that some groups are rebranding as internal security teams, volunteer task forces, or community security initiatives. If our ability to track people on social media is anything to go by, a word to a wise is enough.
But the two main political parties, the opposition NPP and the governing NDC, have dissociated themselves from this new modus operandi of vigilante groups.
2024, we respected the Vigilante Act. We didn't have any vigilante group. We didn't have such groups because we respected the state security. Indeed, the National Election Security Task Force, we had several meetings with them and they assured us. And so there was no need for the party NDC to come out with anything like vigilantism.
The 1992 Constitution talks about protection. You have personal protection. You can protect yourself. And none of them was within anything that was unlawful. You are not holding any weapon, and you have the right to protect yourself. For us in the NDP, we are unperturbed. We are not going to go against any law that we know the Constitution has given us the right for protection. And we are not going to go against any law.
The emerging model presents a new challenge for security agencies, and the broader concern is the use of encrypted and less visible digital networks to coordinate activities. Social media expert and IT professional Stephen Nanabwedi says this trend highlights the extent to which technology can affect the way things are done.
WhatsApp, Telegram, and these platforms are end-to-end encrypted. What it means is that you don't need to decode it. It's only between the two of people or within the group that people can see or listen to the messages. Anybody outside cannot see anything and cannot hear it. It starts very subtly, okay? And I'll use the word grooming. So you are invited to join a group because you are a teacher and we are all saying that, oh, we want to advocate for the interest of teachers. Okay, so it starts that way. Before you know, within the group, somebody's sending a message that let's go and demonstrate, let's go and do this, let's go and lock this up, things like that.
Security experts are calling for collaboration between security agencies because the concern is not the technology itself, but what happens when it is used to facilitate violence, intimidation, or organized confrontation.
You can have a data of all these guys who join these groups, and so that we can track them. But on the side of the law, the frontliners, the police, the BNI in particular, we can identify them, investigate the activities, and outcome of the investigations will determine which action should be taken.
Stephen Nanabwedi says the emerging trend is a sign for national security to deploy more sophisticated ways of fighting crime.
We need to educate the ordinary citizens that when you see these signs, you report them. And also, the security forces also need to upgrade their knowledge and the skills, the capacity in terms of technology. Otherwise, the technology is always ahead of the average policeman, for example, or the average CID and stuff, and that becomes a challenge. The system, as in Ghana, also need to provide safe environments for people to whistle blow when they see some of these things. Okay, so for example, if I'm in a group and somebody's trying to encourage me to join a protest, whatever, and I feel that's vigilante, where do I go?
The question, therefore, is no longer simply whether vigilante groups are mobilizing, but where the mobilization is taking place and how quickly it can move from a WhatsApp message to people on the streets. Grace Hamwajiman, TV3 News, Accra.
Bring you some more stories now on News 360. 17,405 people died in road crashes in Ghana between 2020 and 2026. Of this figure, 1,009 died in the first quarter of this year alone. Transport experts are concerned about the increasing number of haulage and tipper trucks involved in road crashes. They are demanding urgent road safety reforms to keep the roads safe for all.
Ghana recorded 2,949 road crash fatalities in 2025, the highest in 35 years. This brings the total number of people killed on the roads to 63,599 over the past 35 years. The statistics indicate that for every 7 adults above 18 years killed in road crashes, 1 child below 18 years was killed. This further reveals a relatively high road traffic death ratio of 7-to-1 for adults compared to children during the period. The National Road Safety Authority has bemoaned the limited resources available for sensitizing the public on road safety. The authority also complained that despite the staggering figures, some road crashes go unreported. Abraham Amaliba is the Director General of the National Road Safety Authority.
It's rolled out. There will be Traffic Tech. It's a technology that is going to be used to apprehend motorists, vehicle drivers who are not complying with the law. So if all this comes together, the combined effect will be that we'll have a much better road safety operations next year.
The recent Ofanko accident involving a tipper truck and a sprinter bus on August 13, which killed 12 people and injured others, has renewed calls for stricter regulation of haulage vehicles. Experts have warned that crashes involving such vehicles are often fatal and require proactive measures to regulate their movements.
A lot of cars being out-traded. They will trade the car 5 tons to make it to load 10 tons. But when you make the car load 10 tons, the transmission has not been changed. The engine has not been changed. So when you overload the cars, the pressure of the engine torque comes down. So why is it need to move environmental area, say 20 kilometers? You can't move the 20 kilometers. You will move 10 kilometers and create traffic behind. And when traffic are created behind, people are jittery. People want to overtake, and those, especially on the Kumasi Road, this is what happens.
Chief Executive Officer of J.K. Horgel Transport Company, Joseph Kweku Horgel, has advised that drivers undergo periodic health screening before getting behind the wheel. He stressed that this would help identify any mental or physical health conditions that could affect drivers' ability to operate vehicles safely.
The impatience of handling the road very well results to these accidents. Because if you see something ahead of you, your eyes have seen it. Quickly, the message will go to your brain. You must have this is what I'm seeing. Could be some obstacle. I should brake, I should have time for it. But if I don't have, I see the thing, so nothing, and I go near before I start braking there, then the distant braking fails, then accident happen.
The responsibility now rests with the government to ensure that road safety reforms are deliberate, effective, and aligned with the desired outcomes on Ghana's roads.
While still talking about reforms, Ghana's local governance system is once again under scrutiny, with calls for reforms to make decentralization more inclusive and accountable. At the Institute for Democratic Governance Citizens Forum in Accra, civil society organizations and policy experts, they challenge proposals on the election of MMDCs, women's representation, and citizen participation in local government elections. Nura Mohammed has more in this report.
For more than 2 decades, there have been calls for the direct election of metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives, MMDCEs. But under the government's proposed 2026 position, the president would nominate at least 5 candidates, with 3 vetted nominees eventually contesting a public election. Participants at the forum say the proposal could still leave room for presidential influence over who gets to contest, limiting genuine local accountability. Professor Joseph Achu-Aye stressed the need to reform decentralization to deepen autonomy, accountability, and responsiveness in Ghana.
Decentralization is work in progress, and we think that it holds the key to the development of the country. It can provide inclusiveness, it can provide development, participation, and of course, checking the rural-urban drift. But more importantly, it gives the key for stable government in the country. Whether we like it or not, political transitions will come and go, but the people of Ghana are more important than governments.
The debate also turned to women's representation in local government. In the 2023 District Assembly elections, women won just 4.1% of the elected seats, translating to only 269 out of more than 6,000.
Government came up with a position that, we want to elect our MDCEs, but then we want to nominate them. And they were trying to be very inclusive by saying we want to nominate at least 2 women. Out of the 2 women, 1 should be shortlisted, and then they are voted for. The argument is that we have an affirmative action law, which gives targets and says that don't have less than 30% of women in decision making. Why doesn't the Constitutional Review Committee or government's position be that we shouldn't have less than 1/3 of the composition being of a gender? So that means maybe at least 1/3 of the composition should be either male or female. When you put in a gender-neutral quota like that, we are saying that then now if government decides that even though we will elect, we'll still appoint. The appointments will make sure that we meet that 30% quota we have in the Constitution. And that's what other African countries like Rwanda and Sierra Leone are doing.
And while national elections regularly attract high voter turnout, participation in district assembly elections has remained below 40%. Civil society groups say while Ghana may have strong laws on paper, implementation remains a huge challenge. Without adequate funding, inclusion, and political commitment, decentralization will remain largely unfinished. Nura Mohammed, TV3 News, Accra.
A former Kumasi Metropolitan Chief Executive Samuel Pine says one of his motivating factors for contesting the position of National First Vice Chairman of the New Patriotic Party is the manner in which the governing NDC is treating members of his party. With a date to the close of nominations, some aspirants have insisted the party currently needs strong leadership to instill discipline and secure victory in 2028. Christian Yali reports.
Over 30 prospective aspirants have submitted their nomination forms to contest various positions on October 3rd in Kumasi. Party reorganization, unity, a change in direction, and making the NPP the preferred choice for Ghanaians are among the issues driving the campaigns. Sam Pine, a former Ashanti Regional Secretary and a former Kumasi Metropolitan Chief Executive, says the NDC is using its power to target NPP members and sympathizers. He says becoming first vice chairman will position him to better confront these issues.
It is important to tell the people of Ghana how much that the NPP, especially our leadership in parliament, our MPs in parliament, are being treated with contempt and disdain. The principles that the NDC espoused in 2024, they've thrown into the dogs and they're doing whatever they want. Again, you see the manner, how they are arresting our communicators, how they are arresting our TikTokers. When you speak against the government, you are in deep trouble. I see myself being that much experience, working from the down of the party, from the west all over to National Council.
Sam Pine says he has built considerable experience over the years.
I know those that are contesting are all very good, but when you talk about experience, none stands close to me. For I know the party is not going to disappoint me, the delegates are not going to disappoint me, and come 3rd October 2026 in Kumasi, I'm going to be the first vice chairman of the party.
The issues differ for each aspirant. Former Subin MP Eugene Boachentry, who is seeking to become the party's general secretary, says the party currently needs discipline.
And the party people, the party executives kept reminding me when I visit them in their community. And they see in me as a man who will come and instill discipline in our party, as a man who will come and ensure accountability in our party, as the man who will be honest with party executives and the leadership of the party.
On Friday, Sylvester Tete also filed his nomination to become the next General Secretary of the NPP. Several other aspirants have filed as well.
This is the room where the NPP's National Elections Committee is receiving nominations from all aspirants or hopefuls. But the significance of this room goes beyond the mere paperwork to what the party is seeking to do. The NPP is seeking to hold an election to build a strong leadership to contest the 2028 elections and bring victory back to the party. Christian Yale, TV3 News, NPP headquarters.
Now, the 8th edition of the Tertiary Business Sense Challenge, organized by the Graphic Communications Group Limited, is heading towards its grand finale on August 29. With just a few days to the final showdown, contestants, they paid a courtesy visit to PricewaterhouseCoopers, a long-standing supporter of the competition, to engage with professionals and gain insight ahead of the grand finale.
After a grueling competition involving 3 zonal contests and 17 participating schools, 3 institutions have emerged as finalists for the grand finale: Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, University of Cape Coast, and the University of Ghana Business School. As part of their preparations for the grand finale, the contestants paid a visit to PricewaterhouseCoopers, PwC Ghana, where they engaged with management and gained insights from professionals in the business world.
The visit is just a courtesy visit to congratulate the finalists for coming this far. I mean, this is a very intense challenge, and for them to have come this far deserves a bit of commendation. So we invited them over to congratulate them and to reassure them and let them know the interesting packages we've got for them. Like, you know, PwC engages the best and the brightest, so we always seek to associate with programs like this.
Quizmaster Dr. Alhassan Traule shares insights into the journey so far and how the contestants have fared throughout the competition.
We started this year's competition somewhere in July. We had a zonal competition. There were 3 zones in all: North, Mid Zone, Southeast, as well as Southwest. We are going into the final now with just 3. The 3, I'll say, the best we have currently in this competition.
Representatives of the 3 competing schools say they are confident of emerging victorious and taking home the coveted trophy.
Looking back at the preparations, it hasn't been an easy one. We've been through quite a lot, the sleepless nights, the stress that comes in having to stay up all night. We are hoping that we'll be able to bring the victory to our home and then show them the testament as to the preparations that we've done.
For us, the journey hasn't been easy. It has come with its ups and downs, but we've been able to maintain our cool. We take everything very serious, and then we believe in our team spirit. We've worked so hard for this, and then we believe everything will be successful.
The Tertiary Business Challenge seeks to equip university students with practical business knowledge, critical thinking abilities, and leadership skills, while also strengthening the connection between academia and industry.
Now, Accra's rapid urbanization has made air pollution an increasingly important public health concern. Vehicle emissions, dust, industrial activity, and the burning of domestic waste contribute to poor air quality. Among these sources, open burning remains a common practice in many communities, exposing residents to smoke and harmful pollutants. This is a problem Infinity 970 and Breathe cities are seeking to confront through sustained awareness campaigns.
For communities where waste is regularly burned, prolonged exposure can contribute to respiratory diseases and other health risks. It was against this concern that Infinity 970 and Breathe Cities organized another public education program at the Dadekotopon Municipal Assembly aimed at combating air pollution. Dr. Elvis Treji Abo is the portfolio manager for Breathe Cities.
In the last data that we've been able to see, upper respiratory tract infection is now #1 for the reason why people go to the hospital in Greater Accra. For children is also #1, which means air pollution is definitely affecting not only people who have underlying conditions, but even healthy people. But one of the key reasons for air pollution or sources of air pollution in the country and in Accra is open waste burning and biomass burning. We've had a bylaw that prevents burning on our laws for almost 20 years now. We're encouraging community members that if they do not comply or demand for clean air, it's their health, it's their children's health.
The acting municipal director of health for the Dadekotopon Municipal Assembly, Dr. Karine Ajman Prempe, maintained that one important step community members can take is proper waste segregation to avoid open burning.
If you look at an open burning, there's smoke coming out of it. That's third-party inhalation. That's also having an effect on the lungs. Already, we are troubled with the shisha smoking of cigarettes, and all sorts of all forms of smoking that is going on. Then we want to add on by, doing all this opening burning. So we have to be each other's keeper. So there's an emergency line you can call if you have any question. If you think that somebody, your neighbor or in your community, someone is being stubborn, just call that number and then they'll take you from there. The assemblies are also open to these reports.
The organizers say sustained community education, coupled with better waste management practices, will be critical to reducing open burning and protecting residents from avoidable exposure to air pollution.
Now, GCB Bank is taking its staff-led community impact program to communities across Ghana, with several projects lined up for August and September. Now, at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital, the bank has turned its attention to the Department of Child Health, donating critical equipment to support the care of premature and critically ill newborns at the NICU area.
Among the items are a baby incubator, oxygen tanks and resuscitation bags, equipment that can be crucial in the first moments of a newborn's fight for survival. The initiative was inspired partly by the experience of a GCB staff member who delivered her baby prematurely at 7 months, giving her a first-hand view of the challenges faced by families in the NICU.
As part of an initiative, an employee volunteering initiative by the bank, we have transformed the way we do our corporate social responsibility, and SKIP, as we call it, our staff community impact program, is a major part of that. Our pillars for our SKIP CSR initiative includes environment, it includes social and social welfare, sanitation, youth development, it includes even sports, it includes so much. However, this is different. It's the first in the industry, it's the first of its nature and its scale. And the intention is that we are decentralizing social impact and really making that impact come to life through the people who make GCP what GCB is.
And with Kolebu serving as a major referral center for patients from across Ghana, the bank says the intervention has a reach beyond the hospital itself.
In fact, looking through the items, they are just items we were struggling to put together to enhance the services at NICU. And timely, you just came at the time. With your support, we are going to do the best for these little ones.
For the babies cared for here, the hope is that better equipment will help give them a stronger start at life.
It's now time to give you the weather update. And southern Ghana is expected to be dominated by mostly cloudy conditions with cases of slight rain or drizzle during the early hours of the afternoon, from mid-afternoon to late afternoon hours. The cloudy conditions will give way for sunny conditions to dominate over the transition and northern sectors. Variably cloudy conditions will prevail with thunderstorms or rain anticipated from late afternoon into the night hours.
Weather News segment is brought to you by Syntex Tank.
exporting raw materials and importing finished products, describing the approach as a continuation of the colonial economic model. He says Ghana must add value to key resources such as gold and cocoa while refining crude oil locally to increase export earnings and create more economic opportunities.
The call comes after Fitch Solutions ranked Ghana fourth among West African cocoa-producing countries in cocoa bean exports to Europe, averaging 53.7% between 2021 and 2024. The firm says expanding domestic cocoa processing could enable producers to capture more value, although the region remains exposed to developments in the European Union's cocoa and chocolate market.
We have not gotten any better returns on that particular economic model by way of exportation of raw materials and importation of finished goods. The call by Fitch Solution is in the right direction. I think this call also aligned with the President's strategy of value addition. We need to add more value to our raw materials before we export them. That will help us to rake in the needed foreign exchange. That will help us shore up the reserve and also support the stability of the Ghana cedi. This is the model that the European Union and other industrialized countries have used, and it has worked in their favor.
Adding value to commodities is expected to make Ghana a price giver rather than a price taker, while increasing export earnings.
When you go to the international commodities market, we are price takers. Whatever price is there, that is what we take because of the volatilities that are inherent in the price of these commodities. And to that extent, we are always disadvantaged when it comes to exportation of our raw materials, since we are price takers. And so
the analyst called for greater investment in local processing and refining, particularly in gold, cocoa and crude oil sectors, as part of efforts to transform the structure of Ghana's economy.
Away from that, government returned to Ghana's domestic money market today, seeking to raise 5.147 billion cedis through the sale of treasury bills. The borrowing exercise, designated Tender 2022, will cover 3 standard treasury bill tenors and forms part of government's ongoing domestic financing program.
The auction comes as government seeks to record its 10th consecutive streak of oversubscriptions, signaling continued investor demand for short-term government securities. The target of 5.147 billion cedis will be raised across the 3 treasury bill maturities, providing investors with another opportunity to place funds in government-backed instruments. The auction will be closely watched by investors and market participants for indications of demand and prevailing market conditions, particularly as government continues to rely on the domestic market to meet its financing needs. The outcome of the auction could also provide insight into investor appetite for government securities at the cost of short-term borrowing in the domestic market. The Treasury Bill program remains a key component of government strategy for mobilizing domestic resources while managing its financing requirements.
We'll end the segment with updates from the forex and commodities markets. I am Menu Aful.
Hey, so mommy, who is going to do my wedding love?
Oh, Kwame. You know our secret, right?
Yeah.
Fossil insecticide spray and quad.
And we start off in sports. Asante Kotoko have claimed the 2026 Democracy Cup after overcoming fierce rivals Hearts-Ville 4-1 on penalties at the Babayara Sports Stadium. Goalkeeper Danladi Ibrahim, he emerged as a hero as he saved 2 spot kicks to help the Porcupine Warriors secure their second Democracy Cup title after a goalless 90 minutes. Here are the reactions from both managers after the game, starting with Hearts-Ville coach.
One thing, congratulations to Kotoko. For us, this defeat is very painful. Really, every defeat against this team is very painful for all of us, all supporters. I'm very sorry.
Very pleased with the performance. I thought for a large majority of the game we had the ascendancy. I thought the guys did exceptionally well. Our pressing strategy, our tactical discipline. They're not an easy team, playing in their 4-3-3 and a lot of rotation, but I thought we dealt with them really, really well. And the chances we had, first off, we had a great chance that I thought was not offside. At least from my view, it didn't look offside. We should have been 1-0 up at half time, you know. In the second half, again, we had the better chances, you know. So proud of the boys, but still work in progress.
Congratulations to Kumasi Asante Kotoko there. To the Ghana Premier League now, where the 2026-27 Premier League season is expected to deliver a highly competitive campaign, with GFA President Keto Kriku pointing to significant player movements, the arrival of more expert-trade coaches and increased investment in the domestic game as key factors that could raise the standard of the competition. He believes the support being provided by the Ghana Football Association will help clubs maximize the potential and give fans plenty to look forward to as the new season gets underway.
It will be competitive. I think that if you followed the transfer period, there's been lots of movement. There's quite a number of quality players moving across and between clubs. We have a new wave also blowing with an increased number of expert coaches also coming here to work. Of course, with these enormous support systems or support that the FA has promised our clubs, with the enormous amount of investment we're making in the domestic game, I believe that our clubs will come along, utilize what we are offering, and make sure that we get the adrenaline levels of our people a notch or two higher, and definitely we'll be having a very, very interesting football season.
In more sports news tonight, the Black Princesses will step up preparations for the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup when they take on Mexico in their second international friendly on Saturday. Head coach Charles Simpson believes the game will provide a clearer picture of how his squad responds after an impressive performance in their opening test as Ghana continues their preparations for the tournament. Well, that's your sports. There's more sports news on our website, 3news.com as well. News360 returns with more news after this.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun to keep our team.
midday morning show, Kiddy explained that his contract with Lynx had reached its end, and although there were conversations about extending the agreement, he ultimately felt it was time to move on and build something of his own.
Girl, you find out past your picture.
Did you leave Lynx or Lynx left you?
I mean, my contract, the time was up. There was conversation of extension. I was like, you know what? I feel like it's time. You know, I've spent 10 years here. I've learned from a young kid when I was discovered. I've gone through the ranks. I've paid my dues.
According to Kiddy, his time at Lynx played a major role in his development, taking him from a young artist who had just been discovered through the various stages of his career. Kiddy said the decision was therefore less about leaving Lynx and more about embracing a new phase of his career.
I've learned all my lessons. I feel like it's time to go outside into the world and charter my own path, build my own stuff, you know. So I was like, you know what, I spoke to Richie. I was like, Richie, thank you for everything. You know, I appreciate where you took me from, where you brought me, but I feel like it's time.
Kiddy was equally emphatic in rejecting suggestions of a fallout between himself and Richie Mensah.
You see, there's nothing, there's no bad blood.
So no bad blood at all?
Like, there's no bad blood. I don't know why when an artist leaves a label, the first point of the topic is there is bad blood, there is fight, there is money. Like, people can literally leave on good notes. I don't know why that concept does not occur to people. Yes, there will always be issues. No one is perfect, but there is a possibility that you leave and shake hands and say, listen, I'm going. But should I need your help any day, I can always come back and, you know, ask for it. You know?
Following his departure from Lynx, Kiddy has taken another major step by establishing his own record label, BB Joy.
Well, and that's it for the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
Thank you, Noella. It's time now to bring you news updates from other parts of the world. And Iran has condemned the United States' new economic sanctions as state terrorism and said other countries were legally obliged not to implement them, while the U.S. Treasury Department announced additional targeted Iran-related measures. The Iranian Foreign Ministry statement came as mediators stepped up efforts to reopen the Strait of Hormuz, which handled 20% of world oil supplies before the war began 6 months ago, and whose status remains the biggest obstacle to a peace deal. Iran's foreign ministry said in a statement that all countries were obligated under international law to refrain from implementing U.S. sanctions against Tehran.
Thank you for spending the last hour of your time with us on News 360, but that's where we draw the curtains. There's more news always on our website, 3news.com. I am Noble Crosby-Annan.
You can also get news updates on all our socials. We are TV3 Ghana. I am Bernice Abubedulansa. Enjoy the rest of your evening.